What is up, Andrew Knott? Let's talk about Melanotan 2 and PT141. These are peptides used to increase libido and erections. So I'm going to discuss how effective they are, which one is the best in terms of dosing, half-life, efficacy, those kind of stuff, and also how you can make them more potent. Let's dive in. So Melanotan 2 and PT141 they are metabolites of the natural hormone called alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone that is created naturally in the body. So peptides are a bunch of amino acids stringed together. So you can just see like a chain of amino acids, but ultimately it looks more like this. So this is the alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone, the natural one present in the body. This is melanotan 2, structurally extremely similar. And then PT141, you can see it's only this slight modification on the structure that then changes it and makes it more selective to certain receptors. So this is how it's being produced. This is POMC, which is a peptide released in the brain. And from this big peptide, you get a gamma melanocyte stimulating hormone, ACTH, and the beta lipotropin. Then we have this ACTH, which then stimulates the adrenal glands to release cortisol. But this peptide can also be broken down into smaller peptides like alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone. This is the one that we want that helps with libido. And this beta lipotropin also converts into beta endorphins, which is anti-anxiety, antidepressants, makes you feel good. This POMC peptide, big peptide, is ultimately very important for all of these smaller peptides to be created. Here are some benefits of alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone, melanotan 2, and PT141. It enhances erectile function, increases libido, increases the metabolic rate, helps with spontaneous erections, stronger erections, leading to better sexual performance and sexual satisfaction, erections that last longer, enhance orgasm pleasure, enhance libido and sexual motivation. It doesn't have to be injected, but it can. Both of them can be taken intranasally, but they can also be injected. It doesn't increase nitric oxide or work via the vascular system or affect blood flow. Thus, it doesn't affect the blood pressure if you're on those kind of medication. So you don't have to worry about going hypotensive. So here are some of the differences between melanotan 2 and PT141. Melanotan 2 is a non-selective melanocortin receptor agonist, versus PT141 is an agonist of the melanocortin receptor 3 and 4. Which is primarily expressed in the central nervous system. So when you take too much melanotan 2, you will also get more tan. Versus PT141 doesn't work on that tan receptor because it's more selective, just because of that small modification in the receptor that I talked about. Then we have melanotan 2 has a half-life of 33 hours, whereas PT141 has a half-life of 2 hours. So you can take melanotan 2 every second day, versus the PT141 you need to take more on demand because the half-life is much shorter. And the onset is also much faster. So a PT141 has a faster onset, but also a faster clearance. Now, the onset will be different for different individuals. Some people need to take it 10 minutes before hanky-panky time. Other people need to take it 1 or 2 hours because it's, for some reason, just going in slower into the brain where it starts to do what it's supposed to do. So you have to play around with when you take it. And this is why I actually prefer the melanotan 2, because it doesn't really matter when you take it. It's just in your system, and you have this increase in libido all freaking day, as long as you use it, right? You don't have to use it on demand, which makes it a lot more convenient. Then melanotan 2, the effectiveness on erectile dysfunction and low libido. Based on 2 clinical trials in men with psychogenic and organic ED, they injected these guys with melanotan 2 at 0.025 milligram per kilogram. So if someone is 100 kilograms, that means they have to inject 2.5 milligrams, which is quite a large dose for someone to use. But it's very effective for enhancing erectile function. So between 63 and 85% of the men got proper erections on this dose. 63 of the men experienced a significant increase in sexual desire in sex drive. So not everyone. It's at least over 60%, but 40% of the men didn't increase and got an increase in libido. Most men were able to hold an 80% erection for 40 minutes, which is pretty sweet. And this is just melanotan. This is not with any other drug like Viagra or whatnot. Then we have PT141 on erections. A good starting dose is 7 milligrams. This is what they injected in the study. And then you can work up from there as needed. This study found that 4 mg was ineffective, whereas the effective dose started at 7 mg and the highest dose tested was 20 mg, which is a little bit more difficult because the regular vials that you get is about 5 mg. And I've worked with men that have used 1 mg that has felt that it worked if they used 1 mg. So it really depends on how sensitive you are. So as you can see of the Melanotan dose, it was 2.5 milligrams versus the PT141 dose is 7 milligrams. So it seems that the PT141 dose that you have to take to make it work is much higher than the Melanotan dose. So again, this is why I prefer Melanotan, because the dose is smaller and it lasts much longer. All right, so the thing is, you probably have to use higher and higher doses for it to be more and more effective. So the higher the dose you use, the faster the onset and the stronger the effects will be. This counts for both the benefits, erection and desire, and side effects like flushing and nausea. So this again why I prefer Melanotan. Example, when they increased the dose from 7 to 20 milligrams, the average erection increased from 49 to 137 minutes. Now, I know not a lot of people will be able to last that long, but the longer your session is going to be, the higher the dose that you have to take. In terms of dosing, we already discussed this, but the starting dose can be 500 micrograms to 1 milligram every day for a week. So it's like a loading dose. And this is if you want to tan. This is really not necessary if you just want to use it for erections and libido. Then 250 micrograms every other day. So I've used 250 micrograms every other day and it worked perfectly fine. PT141 between 1 to 20 milligrams every day on demand, and increase the dose as needed. So try 1 milligram, not working 2 milligram, works a little bit better, maybe go to 5 milligrams. How does that work for you? So you want to find the lowest effective dose to get the best results, but also the least side effects. So here are the side effects of both, because they are so structurally similar. They work on the same receptors, they basically have the same side effects. You get facial flushing, reduced appetite. This could be a benefit for weight loss though. Yawning, obviously when you have hanky-panky time, you do not want to be yawning while you're doing it. I think it's going to be a massive off-putter. Stretching, nausea, and this is also a really bad side effect. I got none of these side effects because I used like 250 micrograms. The occurrence of this is low. Only about like 12.9% of the people got this at the recommended doses of 2.5 milligrams. So a large dose, and only 13% of the people got nausea. And then in even rarer cases, there will be vomiting. Then a side effect is also priapism, which is painful erections that last longer than 4 hours without sexual stimulation. Not good. So will Melanotan 2 work even if I have normal levels of testosterone? So there was a study that showed that the effects of Melanotan 2 will likely be less effective if your testosterone is low, which is lower than 300. So for Melanotan 2 to work even better, you want to make sure that your testosterone is higher than at least 300. Obviously, I prefer it to be 600 plus, closer to 800, 1000 nanogram per deciliter. Obviously, if you would like me to help you do that, join the Testo Tribe. That's where all the magic happens. In this study, they gave 20 men with a psychogenic ED, they had a testosterone level of 450 nanogram per deciliter, and organic ED, they had an average testosterone of 300 Melanotan 2, and it was equally effective in both groups at enhancing erections. So there wasn't a difference between 360 or 450 as long as it's over 300 nanogram per deciliter. That seems to be like the sweet spot for testosterone. As long as your testosterone is closer to 400, at least over 300, your bonies will work more or less fine. Obviously, I don't really trust this research all too much. As I mentioned, I prefer it to be much higher. If your testosterone is 300, it clearly indicates that something in your body is not working the way it's supposed to work, and you have to focus on maximizing that. Can I take PT141 with Viagra or Cialis? Yes, you can, absolutely. They work synergistically together, and then you can take smaller doses of each because they work synergistically together. So instead of taking 7 to 20 milligrams of PT141, you can now take like 1 milligram with 5 milligrams of Cialis, and it will work synergistically as if you're taking like 5 or 7 milligrams of PT141. A 2005 study found that men got significantly better erections when they used PT141 and sildenafil, 25 milligrams of sildenafil and 7.5 milligrams of intranasal PT141 together compared to sildenafil alone. So they, as I mentioned, they work synergistically. The benefits of combined therapy is that you can use smaller doses of each, which limits the side effects. So I quote from the study here, co-administration of PT141 and sildenafil was safe and well tolerated and did not result in new adverse events or adverse events that were increased in frequency or severity compared to with monotherapy. So again, like when you use like Cialis or Viagra, they have their own side effects. So the bigger the dose that you use of those, the more likely you are to get flushing, migraines, stuffy nose, lower back pain, and so on. So if you can use lower doses, that's a big one. All right, so quick Q&A. What works fast for erectile dysfunction? PT141, which, when taken intranasally, will start working within 20 to 30 minutes. You can combine this with low-dose Cialis for even stronger erections. So if you want fast onset, PT141 is going to be better. If you want to have sustained benefit, Melanotan 2 is going to be the best. Will peptides make me bigger? If someone is unable to get a full erection, they will look smaller than their true potential. If they are able to get a full erection with Melanotan 2 or PT141, it will make them bigger for sure. But in terms of actually growing size past what you are naturally capable of is very unlikely. You probably need to combine that with Cialis, DHT, penis pumping, and whatnot. Or how long should you be on a peptide? As long as you get the benefits. If you feel like the benefits are waning, then it's good to take 2 to 3 weeks off and then try again. You don't have to cycle, but if you lose the benefits, then you can cycle. How long does it take for PT141 to kick in? PT141 starts to work within 20 to 30 minutes. Melanotan 2 can take a little bit longer, between 1 to 4 hours, depending on the individual. How often can I use PT141? PT141 has a half-life of 2 hours, so it can be taken every 3 to 4 hours to maintain a steady level, but that might lead to more side effects. Since PT141 has such a short half-life, you can take it daily or morning and evening, depending on how much sex you are going to have. So this is quite nice if you are, for example, only have sex once or twice a week. You can only take it on demand, versus if you take Melanotan, it's going to be in your system for 33 hours or longer, which means that you are going to be horny while not having sex, which could be more frustrating. So if you want to focus and not be horny, maybe PT141 will be better on days that you do not have sex, versus Melanotan 2 will make you horny all the time, even if there's no one in your life, like without the sexual stimulation. So that's another thing to take into consideration. So there you have it. It's really up to you which one you want to use. With PT141, the onset is faster, but the dose that you have to use is bigger and it doesn't last as long. The Melanotan 2, the dose that you can use is smaller. The onset is a little bit longer, but it doesn't really matter because the effect lasts much longer. So you can take it in the morning and hanky-panky in the evening, and everything should still be fine. Now, also keep in mind that if your testosterone is too low, Melanotan 2 and PT141 is not going to work the way they're supposed to. Same thing with Viagra. If your testosterone is too low, Viagra or Cialis is not going to work the way they're supposed to. Increase your testosterone and both those drugs will work much better. If you would like to maximize your testosterone, join the Testo Tribe. I will show you exactly how to maximize your testosterone there. When you join, you will get a personalization call with me so I can help you dial in your protocol. All right, guys, so I hope you learned something new and I will check you in the next one. Cheers, guys.